Hi everyone, in this lecture we are going to create the nextQuestion function. Alright, so I'm going to come here and I'm going to say nextQuestion function. Now why is this function important? It is important for a few reasons. First, whenever you click on a correct answer, you should go to the next answer. To next question. If you click on an incorrect answer, you should still be able to go to the next question. These are the two scenarios. The third one is whenever you're not able to answer a question and the timer runs, you still should go to the next question. This is why the next question is very, very important. So let's go ahead and let's create the next question. All right, and in here what I'm going to do is, first off, we are going to go ahead and grab our count and we are going to set it to 0. Because whenever we go to the next question is where the count is going to be 0. All right, and then I'm going to create an if statement and we are going to check if, because the reason that we create an if statement here is because what if the next question is not there? What if we don't have any next question? Then we want to print out the score container, the result. And if we have a next question, we want to go to the next question. So we are going to grab our active question and we are going to say if the active question is less than the last question, do what? Grab the active question and increment it by 1. This is where the active question makes sense. All right. And when you increment it by 1, do what? Okay, so the active question is incremented by 1 and this function is called nextQuestion. It means that for example, the last question has an index of 9. Yet the active question has an index of 5. So we still have like 5 more questions to go, right? That's why we increment the active question by 1. So the active question now has an index of 6. All right. So when the active question goes to the next question, we should render the question once more. Render the question, the question function. All right, and this is the first function that we created. So we are going to render this function one more time. We're going to call this function one more time. And when we call this function, now the active question has, let's say, an ID of 6. And this has a value of 6. And when you provide 6 here inside the question, it means that inside this questions array, we are going to grab the 6th item inside there. And when we grab that 6th item, we are going to change the text to this. The answer choices are going to be changed to this. The background image is going to be changed to this. So each time we render a new we go to the next question, we should render the question as well, because if we do not render it, there will be no question to be seen on the page. So else basically says if active question is equal to last question or active question is bigger than the last question. In that case, it means that we don't have any more questions. We want to clear our interval with the timer that we have created there. All right. And when we do that, we also want to render the score. I know we have not created this function yet, render score, but we are going to create it. So when if there are still questions, show the question. If there are no questions, clear the interval and render score. Just render the score. Just tell the user how much percentage they have correctly answered, what are the number of the correctly answered questions. Now, this next question, we are going to grab it. First off, we are going to call it inside the check answer. The reason for this is I'm just going to keep explaining it, all right? And I'm sure you're going to get it. Okay, so in here we have an if statement, all right? So if the answer is correct, we are going to increment the score and we are going to change the background to green. If the answer is incorrect, we are just going to change the background to red. But it doesn't matter if the answer is correct or if the answer is incorrect. We still want to go to the next question. All right. So like this, for example, there are 4 answers. Even if I click on the incorrect answer, we are going to go to the next question. If I click on the correct answer, still we are going to go to the next question. So it does not matter whether the answer is incorrect or the answer is correct. We want to go to the next question. That's why this next question is called outside this if statement. All right, it means that after the check answer function is done with this if statement, it should go to the next question. That's it. Very simple. The next place that we want to call this is the render counter, because whenever we go to the next question, we want to reset the render, right? So if the count is less than the question time, we talked about how we do all this. But what if the count is what if the answer is incorrect? Or basically what this count does is what if the user has not entered any answer. So I'm talking about this functionality that the user is thinking and 10 seconds pass. What about then? What do we do then? We know when 10 seconds pass, we just reset the counter. But what about the next question? What about the render question? What about those? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and we are going to grab this, and I'm going to remove the count is equal to 0 because the count equals 0 is already inside our next question. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to call our next question. All right, so whenever the user has not answered the question, we are going to go to the next question. But there is one more thing that we want to do. So when the user didn't answer the question, we will be going to the next question, but this box will be red as well. So we need to call in the answer is incorrect function here as well. So let's save it. Let's check out our application. Let's close that. So I'm not going to answer this question. So I'm not going to answer it. And we are going to wait for it because by our calculation, it should go to the next question. It did go and it gave us a red. All right. So even if you do not attempt and the time passes, you're going to get a red. But when I click on it, we get to the next question. The count is 0. We get a green. We get to the next question. The count starts from 0 and we get a green. Answer incorrect. We get to the next question. The count starts 0, but we get a red here because this says answer is incorrect. Very simple stuff. And finally, the only thing left here for us is whenever the user answers all of the questions either correctly or incorrectly, we want to render our score. So I'm just going to say render score function, which we have created there, which we have called there. So I'm just going to say function render score. All right. And in here, what do I want to do? I want to grab the score container. All right. And I want to say style dot visibility should be visible, because we have selected our score container and we have set it to visibility hidden. Now we want to say it should be visible. And now when the score container is visible, let's save it. Let's come here. So let's try to go 1 plus 1 negative. So this should be correct. This should be incorrect. This should be correct. This should be incorrect. This should be correct. And this should be incorrect. So now we get to our score container, but there is no message printed here. We should print a message here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable and I'm going to say score percentage. And I'm going to call it score percentage. And we are going to say math.round. So round whatever number you have and do what? So we want this math to multiply our score by 100 and then divide it by questions. Where is questions.length? I'm going to explain to you why this. So, for example, we have answered 7 questions out of 10. All right? So the score is 7. I'm just going to grab my calculator. What is that? Come on, buddy. Give me calculator. All right. So we have answered 7 questions out of 10. And now we multiply it by 100, we get 700. And then we divide it by questions, the length. So what is the length of the questions array? It is 10. So let's divide it by 10. What is the percentage that we get? It is a simple, mathematical formula in which we just get percentage. And because if I do not multiply it by 100, I just get 7. And so let's make it 0. We just get 7, and we divide it by 10. We are going to get 0.7 multiplied by 100. We are going to get 70. So this is how we are going to get our percentage, all right? And we can also get the score as well. So in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create 2 H2s inside the score container. We remember that the score container inside our HTML is empty. So these elements, they are going to be dynamic elements. So we are going to grab our score container and we are going to say inner HTML. Because we are going to create 2, we are going to add it. Okay, first off, we are just going to create it and the next one will be added. So let's go with the backticks. Let's create our H2 starting tag, and I'm going to say percentage of correctly answered questions. Percentage of correctly answered questions. We could just say this. And now let's grab our template strings, and from here I'm just going to call in the score percentage. And now this is done, of course. Now let's go ahead and let's create the ending tag, H2. So everything is done. Let's take a look at it. I'm just going to do this. Just want to get to the end. So it says percentage of correctly answered questions is 50. So let's check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Indeed, it is 50% because there is 10 questions. We have answered 5. That is 50. The next element that I want to add on, now if I do not say plus, I'm just going to show you what's going to happen. So number of correctly answered questions, we're just going to grab our score variable. Save it. Let's go to very quick. All right. Now it says number of correctly answered questions. Where is the percentage? Because we provided this score container in our HTML with an H2, and then we ourselves overwrote it with this H2. But we should append both of them with the plus operator. All right, and when I save it, now we are going to get both of them. So I'm just going to go very quickly. It says percentage of correctly answered questions 30, number of correctly answered questions 30. Because we have 1, 2, 3. All right, so let's go ahead and let's check it out. Let's see if every question is accurate. We see our counter works. We see our background image, and we also see that each question relates to that background image that we have. Baby elk, we have wolf, lone wolf, and we have this, and we are done. So this is going to be it for this lecture and for this chapter and for this project. I really hope that you have learned a lot and you've really enjoyed it, because I did. And this is a wrap up. So see you guys in the next chapter.